Even the scenery just from the lodge itself is breathtaking.
Beautiful.
And it is quite nice.
Well,
beautiful
great.
trails. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank
And
you for
thank
sharing
you.
your
Oh, it's great.
experiences.
Thanks, Kate. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Well, folks, we hope you're enjoying today's hunt at Bear Track Outfitters. Now let's join Cody for his tip of the week.
Welcome to this week's Arctic Cat Woodlot and Food Plot Management Tip of the Week. One of the most important considerations with any kind of food plot planting is fertilizer. So right here we have one of our stopper plots. It's a plot of swede. It's a really great broadleaf plant. Deer love it. Of course, they won't hit it until the real first frost when all those carbs turn into sugar, starches turn into sugar. But one of the most important parts is fertilizing. And depending on the recommendations for your type of plant, most food plots will require a planting or a fertilizing of twice per season. Once, sometimes right at planting, or sometimes usually like a week after you plant, and then another time toward the end of summer. Now, the kind of fertilizer you want to use will also vary depending on the kind of plot that you're planting. For the most part, 1919. This swede plot is 1919, but there are specific mixes that certain plants take, so be sure to check that out. Now, before we fertilize, I always like to make sure a little bit of rain, if you can plan it to do when you know you're going to get a full day of a slow, steady rain, that's the best kind. It's good to fertilize because then you don't run the risk of burning your plot. And this, as I mentioned before, this is a stopper plot, and we use it, hence the name, to stop deer when they're coming from the bedding areas. They'll come out through here, stop, and take a little munch before they head down to the larger half-acre food plots that we have down below here. When you're fertilizing, again, it's also important to remember to get the right poundage for whatever plot you're using. This plot, as you can see, is fairly small. It's not a half acre, it's not an acre, it's right around 1/10 of an acre. So always look at your planting guidelines. If they're telling you, they should, most will tell you how many pounds per acre. So just adjust it to the size of your plot. And that'll really help, and what it does is help it get above the weeds. For a food plot this size, I'm putting about 20 to 25 pounds in this spreader. I make sure that I'll pick 2 or 3 spots on each side, like where I am here, a little bit further down, where I can fertilize out, and it usually gets right about half the plot. So that makes sure I don't go right down the middle and break leaves, break stems, try to maintain the integrity of the plot as best we can. So by making sure you fertilize at planting or a couple weeks later, depending on your guidelines, and then again at the end of summer, you'll make sure that you'll have a plot like this and it'll be ready come time for season. That's this week's Arctic Cat Food Plot and Woodlot Management Tip of the Week.
Now let's join Pete Doobie and Cody as they try to find a good buck on one of Pete's ranches.
Hey, Cody, there's one. See him? He's right on the edge of that cutout, that little wall.
Pete, go ahead and grab your rifle and chamber one.
Okay.
We're going to go down here and work this edge of the canyon here today, this afternoon. Sit here and kind of watch, see what's coming in. A couple of neighboring.
More of Rough Country Outfitters right after Cody's tip.
Topped off and ready to go. Welcome to this week's Arctic Cat Food Plot and Woodlot Management Tip of the Week. Another important consideration to remember when you're thinking about the overall quality of your food plot and woodlot management program is to establish and maintain a high quality TSI or timber stand improvement program as well. Now, how do you do that? Well, you need to enlist the help of a professional, and that's either a logger, a forester, or even a TSI specialist. And what they'll do is come in, they'll mark your junk trees, and junk trees are useless trees, and here's why. Junk trees compete with every other good tree that you want to keep on your property. They're competing with the larger trees that are good for logging that eventually you may cut for timber. They're competing with trees that are producing acorn crops, and they're competing with the rest of the understory. They're not allowing the undergrowth to come back up. So there's no use for them. You might as well take it out. It'll allow the understory to come up. The trees, the good trees that are left, It'll start increasing their diameter. They'll be healthier. They'll be able to retrieve more nutrients from the soil. Their canopies will start to crown out, and it'll be much better for down the road for your logging operations. Most importantly, as deer season approaches, your acorn-producing trees will have bigger, sweeter, more abundant acorns that'll hang much longer later into the season. As a last tip, we have over 300 trees here on our 192 acres that we need to take down, junk trees. And we'll start taking them down from the end of May all the way out until mid-August, and that's it. We don't want to go any further than that because past mid-August, we don't like to be penetrating or disturbing the woods in any way. It's time for season. So that's your Arctic Cat food plot and woodlot management tip of the week. And I have to get cutting.
Right there, right there.
Presentation,
Yes, he did.
called him a bit closer, and
Yep.
you took control.
It was quite a day and a fine bull, and thank you very much,
You're
Sean.
welcome, kindly
Thank you.
welcome, and it was a good shot.
Thank you.
Once Kate's moose was field dressed, the guys placed the bull onto the Hunting's a Drag safari sled and strapped it in. The safari sled was designed for North American big game like moose and elk and the ultra big game of Africa. Once the safari sled was secured to the Arctic Cat, getting the bull across 2 miles of soft, wet bog was a lot easier than having to quarter it all up and make a few trips back and forth to get it out on the ATV. Within 20 minutes, we pulled the bull across the bog and began the steep climb out of the recently logged over area. Within a half hour of securing the moose onto the sled, we reached the top of the crest of the hill and loaded it into the truck and headed back to the lodge.
Yeah. Folks, taking a little break here from the hunt, and I'm with Dennis Whiteley, who is from Philly, PA. Dennis shot this awesome bull. Really nice job. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Quickly, a little bit about the hunt.
Well, you know,